Hello and welcome to another episode of Digital Marketing Chats with Selenites. I'm Nick, your host today, sitting down with David.
Hello.
Today we're going to be digging into website design trends that boost marketing results.
Marketing results, great.
Yeah, we've got some interesting stuff to cover today.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off talking about hype. So there's a lot of hype currently around trends such as motion design, bold fonts, organic shapes. What are some of the actual design trends that improve conversions versus things that are just cosmetic?
Yeah. I think that's kind of what we have to define. Do we want a pretty website, or do we want something that's going to generate sales, generate leads? Because that's really the difference what we're talking about today. We're not talking about a masterpiece that's going to impress people by the way it looks. We want a website that gives people the answers for what they're looking for as quick as possible, as easy as possible, and as interactive as possible, I guess we could say as well. So I guess that's been the philosophy of websites itself from the beginning, that we create websites that sell and not just a pretty brochure that's going to win design awards, because it's all about results. So there's always been trends. Like back in the day, it was parallax design, and then everyone that's running ads and actually tracking stuff realized, okay, this isn't converting so well. Whereas simply having a phone number in a form and it looks ugly, but it converts, is still making more money. So I guess that's there's always going to be trends. There's always going to be hype. But what we've seen across our clients and what's still working, and this has been working for a long time, is more literally your box layout. So that it's called your bento box design. Which is literally you box your website into either squares next to each other or rectangles, because that flows into everything else. So I think that's still a trend in 2026. That's still working really well because it's very scroll friendly, and it's easy to navigate and get the right information into the right places really easily. So that's probably kind of my overview. I think AI is probably a big thing that's influencing design and things like that, and we can kind of delve into that a little bit more as well. But that would be my overall. I think mobile is as important as it always has been. Like we're all, it's not going away. We're using our mobile phones to look up things and things like that. So
become the majority now.
Yeah, so I think in my mind, those are still all kind of trends that are really important for marketing websites that are actually going to generate results.
So yeah, definitely highlighting usability and functionality over form. It doesn't really matter how pretty it is if it's not usable.
Yeah, exactly. It's less is more. I think the industry is kind of waking up to that, the minimalist design, and letting the right words, the right headlines really let people decide if they're on the right page, especially with AI kind of pulling stuff in. It's the words that they can understand a lot easier, and Google's always been like that, than, say, an image. And obviously, Google's getting better at understanding images. Google's getting better at, and AI is as well. But words are really easy because they're language-based models. So having the right headlines really simply, and not in images and trying to make it look real fancy to make the words work within an image, and then it actually not being text-based, that's probably not going to help too much in future.
Yeah. So minimalist design is one that can actually convert.
Yeah.
Versus some of the more complex ones.
I think so. Less is more.
As long as you're doing everything right around it, like still usability and design are somewhat hand in hand, but also separate.
Yeah, and you can kind of go the next level and make the site interactive as people engage with it. So I think that's really a trend still as well, and we can kind of dive into that a little bit more as we talk about usability and things like that. So yeah, but I think that's kind of the overarching what's happening in 2026.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned AI already. It's seeping into everything.
Yeah.
So AI is now shaping website design, personalization, content. So from a marketing results standpoint, where do you see AI having the biggest impact in the next few years?
Yeah, I think targeted content to targeted traffic. So here's what I mean by that. So, and we've been doing this for a long time. Like, it's not AI, it's just understanding where your traffic's coming from and then giving them the right information from that traffic. So, for example, we work with one of Australia's largest garage door suppliers, and they have I guess you can call it geo-targeting installed on their site. So if someone comes from, say, Perth, they get redirected to the Perth landing page, so rather than the home page or wherever else. And then everything on that page can speak to the Perth market. Now, this is really important if you're multi-location around Australia and say there might be different laws, different ways of doing it. We see it a lot with builders where they try and push people manually. So you land on the home page and then you've got... are you in New South Wales? Are you in Queensland? Are you in Victoria? And you pick it and it pushes you through. So you can't go anywhere unless you actually click it. Now it's not the best user experience. Imagine if, and we'll call it AI for now, but it's literally just a script, identifies where the searcher's searching from using an IP lookup or something like that, and then just pushes them to the right state. So that's kind of the experience. I think that's on a legal level, it's really good, and because you're offering different things. But now think about it with AI, where this is going to go is similar with, if you think about your Facebook ads, we don't do much targeting with our Facebook ads anymore. We let the algorithm do its thing, and the message just calls out to the right target market. So now, let's say Facebook is able to identify your target market and it's sending those people to your website. I think there'll be features in AI where you can serve up the right message based on where people are at in the customer journey. So let's say someone's really early on in the customer journey and they're just figuring out that they've actually got a problem. They're going to want totally different content compared to someone that is now ready to buy. So in the simplest form, it's a blog post learning about something versus a product page where they buy something. So I reckon with AI, that is all going to play a part, and you can literally optimize your homepage around how people and where they're at in the customer journey, how often they've interacted with you. It will determine what's on the homepage and things like that. So I think it's that, switching the content.
Like actually having dynamic content show depending on an estimated level of the person viewing it.
Yeah, exactly. And the software works out who the target market is, how often they've been to your site. So it'd be based on stats that we can actually collect from other platforms, from your Meta ads, from your Google ads, and then feed all that back into your website to kind of interact with each other. I think that's kind of where it's heading. That's some of the stuff that I've read as well. I'll say this straight away. For the majority of our clients, brick and mortar businesses, that's still far away at this point in time. It's literally because we nailed the intent so well with our ads and our marketing. We do that with landing pages at this point in time.
Yeah, it's sort of a tangent, but it's a really interesting topic that if that becomes more and more of a trend, I suppose it's probably the bigger companies that don't really rely on SEO particularly because they've already got that brand recognition that would pioneer that. But it'd be interesting to see how that would affect SEO, since SEO is so reliant on the content. But if the content is different depending on who you are, how does the search engine pick that up differently? Yeah,
it'd be interesting. You'd probably still have to have your pages, but it's what gets displayed to different users. So yeah, it'd be interesting how that clashes with SEO at the moment. But I do agree. It's those. It'll depend on your marketing channels, like the corporates where it's very brand heavy. They probably benefit a lot more from that kind of interaction. But yeah, just showing different things to different customers, I think, is going to be a real trend.
Cool. So you mentioned earlier actually usability as well, and accessibility is a big part of that.
Yeah.
So why is it so important for websites to align with good accessibility and in some cases even just sustainability practices? Right. And how can brands integrate these practices while still trying to lift engagement and SEO practices and all of that along with it?
Yeah, I think with all these things, because clients come to us all the time with these questions, I read this over here, we should be more accessible, or I read this over here and we should be more sustainable, and I love the planet and all that kind of stuff. So that's all cool. I think the biggest thing to ask yourself is why. So if the 90 to 95% of your customer base isn't disabled or would probably never use your website, it's probably not the biggest thing on your priority list. But if you run let's say we work with a lot of NDIS people, NDIS providers and things like that. Pretty important that it's going to be accessible for people with different problems and different things that they face in life. So the blind, the those that can't hear and things like that, we need to make the website accessible for that target market if that is a big part of the people that are going to be visiting your site. Okay, so again, so that'll be so engagement sites, so your more gaming sites and things like that. I think it plays a lot more of a role for them to do something like that than it does for your local brick and mortar business, for your local plumbing company, for your local contractor, for your local builder and things like that. So yeah, I think there it's important to do that. But the way to do it is just make your website easily accessible through, for example, your images, having good alt tags and things like that. So and also with voice search, so it's easy to find stuff with voice search on your website as well. So those are probably the main things for that. Sustainability, I guess, yeah, what's your view on that? Because we haven't had a client ever, and we deal with clients probably anywhere from 1 million to, I don't know, the highest would be maybe 15 to 20 mil a year with that kind of turnover. There is the exceptions, like we've worked with BP, we've worked with Gillette and Oral-B, with Procter & Gamble. But the majority of our clients, that would be the last thing on their mind, to make your site sustainable.
Yeah, it's not a major priority for most of our clients. They're, operating at a regional or state level, or even the few at a national level. It's compared to those big, international, huge brands.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as much of a focus.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I agree. Let's use Gillette for example. So household brand, millions if not billions of customers around the world, big corporation, they would have social responsibility to the environment. Governments would hold them accountable to different things. It would be in their interest to continue to build their brand, to also have everything that they do leave a minimal footprint. So I agree with that. So at that level, I think it matters. And the way to do it is just obviously one of the main things would be your hosting, looking at how much, what kind of hosting have you got? How is it powered and things like that? Minimizing the amount of resources your site uses, because that all matters. So those are the things. And then you can obviously make a song and dance about that on your site that you do that. I think the other case where it would be beneficial to actually invest in this area, because it's hard to find a hosting provider that will do all these things. So you have to go, and then it's obviously going to cost more, just like with anything healthy these days, it's more expensive. But I think where it would make a lot of sense is if your target market is sustainability oriented. So, for example, one of our clients, they do sustainable forest management. Now, that would resonate with their target market, because that's what they're after, sustainability.
Yeah.
So they're trying to achieve the same thing. A company that achieves that through their marketing, it's going to be a decision whether they choose someone else or not. Versus, let's stay with the local example. Like if you're buying a pair of shoes, and you see one site that's got the shoes for $50, they're sustainable. The other side, they have it for $20, they're non-sustainable. They're exactly the same shoe. You're going to choose the $20 one. So it doesn't really impact my buying decision.
The realistics of economics living in the world. But
yeah.
On the flip side, we are all citizens of the world and want to keep the planet as sustained as we can. So if you saw those two sites and they were both the same price, you'd probably pick the sustainable one. So
that would be the difference,
you do kind of want to pick your battles. But I definitely agree that for those major companies, it's also a lot more impactful for much larger company with much higher traffic. They need much larger hosting, which uses much more energy.
Right.
So them going the sustainable route has a much bigger impact on
I think so.
overall sustainability than a local website that's already on a shared hosting that's shared by dozens of other businesses all on the same server that's using X amount of power for, it's sort of spreading that load, and, whatever traffic is infinitesimally smaller than what a major brand is getting as far as traffic goes. So.
Yeah, I agree. Like our local sites, I don't know, some of them may have 300, 400, 500 visitors a month versus the big sites that we work on. It's millions.
You're getting that in the hours.
Yeah. So 100%, I think bigger sites will definitely have more impact by actually contributing by minimizing their footprint. So those would be the cases and what can be done to do so. Which really helps with user experience. So if you minimize load time, if you don't use as much resources, your site's going to be faster. It's going to convert better. It's going to be more engaging. So that's going to help with marketing your site as well.
Yeah, definitely all considerations. That everything comes together.
Builds on top of each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking a lot about sort of technological advances as well. So some of these things like VR, AR, 3D models, cursor effects, micro animations, there's all kinds of these little things adding up and new things coming out all the time. How would you say that businesses should decide what is actually enhancing the user experience and what's just sort of potentially slowing down the site, or is ultimately just fluff and distraction?
Cool. Yeah, really good. Again, I would look at your user and are they likely to have a VR headset? So let's say you're dealing with an older demographic, probably not. If you're selling to a younger demographic, the chances are pretty high. Then the next question I would ask is, how is it enhancing the user experience, or is it just kind of something hypey that you're doing to stay cool, to stay like, hey, we're doing this? And then we always look at, okay, I'm never going to say no to something if it's working. But you don't know that unless you have the data. So the biggest thing I would suggest is with any of those things, by all means, let's integrate AR animation and all that kind of stuff. But if it's not increasing conversion rates, if it's not increasing time on site and engagement, probably not the best investment. So that's what I would say. But so then the other thing is with subtle interactions like micro things where a button might pop up or a form may slide in and things will just flow people through the journey, 100%. But again, if it takes away from the journey, if it takes away from conversions, then it's not a positive impact for your marketing.
Yeah.
So
it's maybe kind of most important question to ask when looking at those sort of things is why you're doing it.
Correct.
And so little things like micro animations to support feedback for user input, really good. Feedback for user input, like you want the user to know when they're doing something that actually has an effect.
Right.
So like if you're sitting there clicking a button and nothing's happening, bad user experience. If
Correct.
you click a button and there's a little sort of micro animation or transition that shows something has happened because you've clicked that button, good user experience. Yeah,
I think like even the button like scaling, when you hover over it, it just shows, okay, cool, I'm on the right spot, I can click. So it just helps with that user experience. So those kind of things, subtle things, will definitely, they're not going to like make all the difference in your marketing, but they stack on top of each other. And once you get to a level of conversion rate optimization, it's one little thing, another little thing, another little thing. That's what makes a difference overall. So that's really kind of, that's not really design trends, but that's how you ride trends and work out whether they actually are useful for your website or not.
Yeah.
So that'd be kind of my main points for that. Yeah, I think so.
All right. So another big thing is mobile first design.
Yeah.
It's a major trend that continues to rise, as we mentioned earlier.
Yep.
Users viewing content on mobile devices is, probably still on the rise.
Yeah.
So from your experience, what specifically makes a mobile website actually convert better beyond just actually having a usable and responsive layout for a mobile phone?
Number one thing for mobile is speed. Make your site load as fast as possible, because there is still, where we are in Australia, where we are on the Sunshine Coast, there are still spots where there's no internet or limited internet or slower internet.
Like limited 4G coverage.
Exactly.
Damn, it's slow.
So if your site takes heaps of resources, heaps of stuff to load it, it's going to be a slow experience. So you want to be aware of that for mobile. Make it load as fast as possible. I think that's going to be your biggest bang for buck, is making your site load as fast as possible. The next thing is really just so it's scrollable. So again, you got to think about it. You've got this device here. The customers aren't going to see everything like on a big screen. It's a journey of scrolling up and down the page. So make it really scrollable. Design it how people would use phones. So again, I'm holding my phone like this at the moment with my thumb at the top, and I can click on things with my thumb. So we call it thumb-friendly design. So that's the thing. Now, if it's more of a gaming site, you would switch your phone over to more of a landscape kind of thing, and then you've got two thumbs available. So now you can make it more interactive like that as well. So that's probably the two things: performance in terms of speed, then make it scroll friendly, thumb friendly, and then the last one is just again your images. They may work on a desktop, but they're probably not going to work on a mobile device because the screen's just so much smaller. So and that will help with your load thing as well, with your load times, if you lazy load your images and things like that. But just because something works on a desktop doesn't mean it should be on a mobile device as well.
Yeah, so sometimes you're just omitting things that are on the desktop that don't really add to the mobile experience. So.
Yeah, and usually the things that are on the desktop are just, if they don't belong on a mobile, that's just an emotional based decision to have it on the desktop, because I wanted that photo there because I think it looks nice. But really, if you look at the data, you'll probably find it had no impact on conversions at all, which brings us right back to the start of like, what are we building? Are we building a nice looking site that people will be like, oh, that looks pretty, but I'm never going to buy from it? Or we want to build something that sells, that brings the message across, that lets people know they're in the right place and shows them how to step through the process to get to the end result that they're after. So I think that's the question that needs to come up at every stage when looking at whether to adopt a trend or not.
Yeah. Some critical thinking before just throwing things on there because they're popular.
Yeah, exactly. Or hyped up, not even popular yet, not adopted yet, and you want to be a first adopter or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, one thing that is super prominent pretty much on any page, or at least any homepage, hero sections. As all these trendy technologies and things like that continue to advance, hero sections are getting more and more complicated. Animations, huge, bold typeface, focus on strong CTAs, immersive visuals. So what are some actual high-impact hero design choices that really have an impact on your marketing results versus feeling just trendy in your experience?
Yeah, great question. I think, again, look at what's the purpose of this site. If I want people to come here and put their name and details in to get a free quote, or to ring me because that I need to come out and quote a job, or I want to talk to them, or whatever it is. So if you're a service business, a local service business, the last thing you want to do is take up your hero section with this big video of nothing. So the sites that convert best and that work best across all channels of marketing are the ones that have a good headline to let people know they're in the right place, and then a call to action. So either a quote form right there and then, or a button that takes them to a quote form. So that big stuff, the big fancy stuff, just doesn't convert as well. Like, this is what we have to wrap our heads around, that the majority of businesses in Australia, well, 99.99% aren't Apple. So your site like Apple isn't going to work for you. Your target market's totally different. The objective of your site's totally different. So it looks awesome and it's a great user experience, but unless you're in a tech, if you've got a tech product or something, probably not relevant for you. Probably not relevant for your website.
Yeah. It's, if I'm looking for an example used earlier, a plumber. I'm probably not going to base my decision of which plumber in my local area to use based on who has the fanciest design elements in their hero section.
It's the one that's going to show up. It's the one that's got great reviews, and the one that's going to be within my price range.
Yeah.
Like that's what you want to hit in your hero banner, and make it as clear and as simple as possible for people to understand that. Yeah, I think that's it. Now, on an e-commerce thing, you want to have the latest thing that engages people. So there you can make it more impacting, because design really matters. How is this jacket going to look on someone? So yeah, we work on an apparel store at the moment, and the designs and the hero image is really important, because it identifies with the right target audience. It shows them what the piece would look like on someone wearing it. So there, it's not just words, it's visual as well. So there, it makes sense to have a scene of the jacket worn in a certain situation, and then having a check the range kind of button. So you don't need the big thing. It's because it's more about branding and tapping into the brand and the range, rather than just solving a problem right there and then, like with a service business.
Yeah, like showcasing the products, maybe differences between a service-based or a product-based business.
Yeah, 100%. So, and then I'll give you another example where this works really well, and this is now closer to the Apple example again. So we work with a hot water company, and they've just brought out their own product, like the hot water tank. And we're about to build the image on the homepage that's interactive, because all the different parts matter, and the audience is educated around why they matter, because it'll based on how it's built, and those different elements of the hot water tank will determine how long it lasts, how much hot water it can provide, and how quickly it heats up, and all that kind of stuff. So there, it makes sense to get more technical and using interactive things and the latest kind of trends to make that a scrolling interactive experience, that things show up and you can kind of go through the journey through there. So that makes sense, because you're exploring the product. But just having that for the sake of it isn't going to really add to the conversion rate of your site. So it needs to have a purpose. It needs to serve a purpose if you're going to use that kind of stuff.
Yeah, major theme in everything we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Is consider what purpose it's serving, whether or not you should actually use it. If it's not directly solving a problem or serving a specific purpose, it's maybe not worth including.
Yeah, and that's just got to let it go.
Yeah.
Let pride not overtake what makes you money. I think that's the big thing. With business, and this is with web design, I think this is really important. Leave the ego at the door. Leave what you think people will think at the door. Look at the data, what's actually converting, and that's where you want to invest your money. Yeah, that's important.
Makes sense to me.
Really important.
Great.
Awesome.
All right. We've covered some interesting stuff today. I think that's really all that we've got for this conversation. It is a really broad topic, though, so I'm sure we haven't covered everything that there is to say. If you've got more to add to the conversation, feel free to comment down below.
Yeah, awesome.
If you have any questions on what we've said, either way, or give us a call.
Send them through.
Love to hear from anybody. So depending on how you're engaging with the content, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Thanks heaps for your time.
Thank you. And thank you for watching.